Welcome, everybody. It is February 25th, 2021. Producer James back in the building. This is the Paul Rodriguez Show. Man, it is James, welcome back. How are you feeling coming off of this winter storm that we just had roll through? It's kind of been it's been a little bit easier kind of transition since I had one show to my belt. I know y'all did Dark Side of the Mic last night with your guest Tom Dunn. But how are you feeling being back in the saddle here behind the mic this time?
Feel great.
Yeah?
Feels good, yeah.
So how did you spend most of your time?
I wish I was a doomsday prepper, but we made it through.
Yeah.
I have an old house and it held up, so.
Good, man.
Yeah.
So y'all kind of just hunkered down for the week?
Yeah.
Did you play in the snow?
I did a little bit.
Did the kids?
Not gonna lie. Yeah, the kids are out there every day.
Snow angels and everything?
Yeah. It tends to get messy though. It gets wet once it melts.
Man, that's what one of my buddies asked me. I was like, man, I'm not gonna have a wet booty whenever I kind of go get in the snow. That's just not for me. Although one thing I did for I think it was like Monday or Tuesday night, I had went outside and it was like 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and I wanted just to kind of experience what the wind chill was really feeling like, because it said negative 4 or 7, and I took one step out the door and I put that one step back inside the door because it was another kind of cold I hadn't felt before. But it was definitely an interesting time. But welcome everybody. Let's welcome James, producer James, back. Papa Romeo did a fantastic job yesterday. I really appreciate his help tremendously. Kind of getting back and started up with this week, but we got a big show today. Lots of kind of new headlines going off. James over there monitoring the live stream. Everybody, welcome in. If you enjoying what's going on, we're going to get into some football topics today. Big rumors out there that Russell Wilson may come to Dallas in exchange for a big trade. We'll see if that happens. I know we've mentioned that, but it's gained a lot of ground. He's mentioned a few teams he would like to be traded to, and we'll get into that later on. Saving that Dallas talk for middle of the show, maybe later in the show. Keep y'all around, keep you interested. But lots of any current events going on, James?
I've been praying for J.J. Watt to come to Green Bay.
J.J. Watt has been real hot in the news, and that's going to probably be something we talk about in our next segment after our first break. But what I was really kind of wanted to focus in on was these free agents that are kind of out in the ether right now that are just kind of settling. And the ones that I've really been focusing in on is Allen Robinson in Chicago. Like, if he can sit there in Chicago and stick with a quarterback, Russell could go to Chicago. Deshaun Watson could go to Chicago. That would be a heck of a pairing up north in a big market, third biggest market in the land here in the United States. If you were to pick for Deshaun or JJ, because JJ is a true free agent, is he going to go to Green Bay, Pittsburgh, or do you think Cleveland? Because there's a lot of I know one of the NFL reporters, Diana Rossini, she's reporting that JJ's getting offered like $15.5, 16 million per year to go join a team, and that's really not going to happen in KC or Tampa. But do you think that makes sense with maybe some of the moving pieces in Green Bay? Like, what if JJ goes and Aaron leaves? I hear their center Dorsey is on his way out right now for Green Bay. He wants to stay, but he's saying that he's probably going to be snapping elsewhere. But if JJ does go back home to Wisconsin and get in, nice and cozy in his warm log cabin, probably a very luxurious log cabin if I had to guess, do you think it makes a strong fit for them on the defensive end?
I definitely think. Yeah, he's a guy that can change a defense, just by himself. He's a rare.
You still think he's capable of changing a defense?
I think so. I mean, as far as like being a leader, for a defense,
right?
And I think he would be. I mean, but then again, we got what's his name, running back Jones,
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, he's
they're gonna franchise tag him, man.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that's what me and Papa Rome were talking about yesterday. And Aaron needs, I think Aaron needs them to franchise Aaron Jones to kind of be another safety net, because so far the GM has not produced a suitable offensive weapon for him. I mean, Jones was a late pick in the rounds. Devontae Adams, they had to develop. He got lucky with him. I just don't know. We got to remember too that Funchess is coming back from the COVID that he sat out. So I don't know if Green Bay would be the suitable mix. Now, he's definitely going to make that defensive stronger as far as like mentally stronger. But does JJ make them a defense that's going to be formidable against Tom Brady, against if Deshaun or if Russell Wilson goes to Dallas? Because, like I said, if Russell Wilson goes to Dallas, and I'm just going to say everybody and their mother is going to be talking about, it's a lock. We're going to the Super Bowl. Just take it easy. You still got Dak on a franchise tag as of yet. It could be a sign and trade, but we'll see how that goes. But
you think Jerry Jones got a boner when he heard that?
A what?
Jerry Jones.
Nasty, man. No, I don't think so. I think what happened was Jerry Jones probably wanted his team's name out there, but I think what Jerry's more, I think, afraid of losing the momentum he has in the NFL, having that influence as an owner. I think that's the biggest thing that he's scared of right now. Because if his team flops again and they have to tag Dak for the third time and a deal doesn't get done, it's going to be horrible. But like I said, we'll get back into that a little bit later. But for Jerry Jones, I don't think he's getting any kind of excitement as anybody kind of comes in. Because I think he really wants to win, but I don't know. It's going to take a little bit more than just Russell Wilson to kind of do that. But getting back to your Green Bay Packers, who would you like to see them draft, or who would you like to see them sign in free agency that's going to make it a big splash in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Who is it going to be for you if you had a choice? Chris Godwin? If they don't franchise tag him?
Yeah, I think
Galladay,
Devontae, I think there needs to be somebody on the opposite of him to also, draw some attention. I mean, he's, in my opinion, one of the top 3 receivers in the league, if not the best. And you got to remember I'm biased. But,
right.
I mean, the fact that I feel like they haven't surrounded Aaron Rodgers with enough weapons to.
Right. So who would you like to see? Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown's not going to be in Tampa next year.
I mean, if I knew he wasn't going to bring his antics, sure, why not?
I mean, he did throw, a bag full of male parts to, his child's mother.
Yeah.
But it just seems that Antonio Brown will be successful if he has an alpha at the quarterback. And I think with Rodgers, he can have it. Because Rodgers is going to get him the ball. That's not going to be the problem. And I don't know does AB want to go and potentially face Tampa Bay on the other side next year? Because that could easily happen again.
Yeah. It's just the hourglass is winding on Rodgers, man. They got to do something. They got to do it now.
I think Aaron Rodgers is 37. Aaron Rodgers has 7 solid more years. That's just the way I feel about it. I don't know. All right.
Well, Tom Brady set he has the bar a little higher now,
Well, I don't know if he has. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers has Tom Brady's personal trainer Guerrero. I don't think he has. I know he's got his new fiance, Shane Lee or Shane. I don't know how you say her name.
It just came out today or yesterday.
I'm sure that's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
They have been. I think Aaron Rodgers mentioned he had a fiance at his acceptance award.
That was the first
MVP.
time that people heard of that.
But I think, if everybody's watching McAfee's show, Aaron's been a lot more relaxed since the beginning of the season, kind of week in and week out when you saw him on Tuesdays. But, maybe he's just seeing the world differently. Maybe it took a 29-year-old to kind of settle him down rather than Danica's, 37-year-old self. I don't know. Maybe it's a fountain of youth. Who knows?
It's a quick turnaround from Danica Patrick.
Yeah, but it was before Danica Patrick. It was Olivia Munn.
True.
Olivia Munn's cool.
Yeah.
Old school G4. Shout out if you know it. All right, 25 minutes after the hour. The show's stupid, I know. We're going to take a quick break real quick, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of what's going on in the high school ranks. A couple of recruiting sites wanted to finally catch up to Recon Athlete. Took them long enough for an offensive lineman out of Westlake. We'll let you know about it when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show, back in the saddle. We're trying to get things off the ground here on the rocket ship. How's that song go? We're going on a trip And I don't know. Stupid.
Little Einsteins.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The only song that I really know is chicken wing, hot dogs and bologna, chicken and macaroni. Man, that sounds good right now. Some chicken and macaroni sounds delicious. You know, big body got to stay fed.
Macaroni in the pot.
Dude, macaroni is good. And that was I'm going to talk about food for a second. We had no water. We had no water here in Texas for a little while, and I was craving shells and cheese, and I had like 3 boxes. Surprise, surprise! I had like 3 boxes of like shells and cheese, and I was like, oh, I want to make some shells and cheese, but then it's like you got to take the water, you got to like boil the water, and then you got to like let the water sit, and then re-boil it again. I don't know if you had to re-boil it again, but then I was like, that sounds like a lot of work, and I'm not gonna do that.
I had boiled some water, but of course I read online that it didn't taste so well. I didn't try it.
I did. I mean, I had a pot of water always on the stove, just for like coffee or for water or to like like tea or oatmeal, something like that. Just throw in the microwave and just heat it up, and then you could like eat whatever. The only thing was, whenever I would like, and I bought a bag of ice because I was like, I'm not trusting the ice maker to make that. No, forget that. Anyways, when I would like I had a metal pot that I boiled it in, and take that water out and put the ice in, it tastes metallic. That's the only difference. But getting back on the show here with the, I tend to not feel like an influencer, and I'm not saying that I am an influencer when it comes to the recruiting world with the coverage that I help out with Recon Athlete, or what I do for Recon Athlete. But we had rated Hayden Bray, the offensive lineman, 6'5", 300-pound offensive lineman out of Westlake, who won a state championship last year in the 6A Division I classification. As this three-star recruit, he had gotten a couple of offers that were, D1 offers, mid-majors, no Power 5s yet. And then Power 5 started rolling in. And we had him rated as a 3-star recruit after I had watched his tape about 6 or 7 times and compared him to the other offensive linemen that were around him. And his counterpart on the other side, Connor Robertson, we had rated him as well. But the important thing here is today, 24/7 recruiting, as well as Rivals, who are they're the guys who everybody holds as the gold standard. Today, rated Bray Lynch as this 3-star recruit, and we had kind of gone ahead and did that a month ago after we had seen his production. And the reason I wanted to say that was just to give kudos to Bray Lynch and give him the recognition he deserves. And we wished him congratulations on Twitter, just solely on the fact that his game is now being respected by who society says is the gold standard for recruiting, to give the credibility. But there have been multiple athletes who we've been covering since April of 2019, who we've given ratings to, and they're guys who are going to go play at Clemson. They're guys who were going to go play at UTSA, now are going to Columbia. These are 4-star, 3-star, and then the best receiver in Texas. I'm gonna let y'all go research who that is. We gave him his 5th star before his before his sophomore year, because he was already a 4-star kid. And after we'd seen his production, we'd seen what he had done. We kind of gave him those ratings before. Now, once we get things more sophisticated on reconathlete.com, that'll probably be a little bit more of a consistent, reputable, and being recognized by the peers in the industry as a quality source will probably be more widely accepted. For the Austin area, it is widely accepted, and I've been personally reached out to. This isn't about me. This is just to show that we want to do quality work for all the student athletes in the area, and we want to make sure that when we give a rating, it is something that is coming from diligence and constant observation, so that we give a rating that's going to be credible nationwide. And the reason we want to do that is so that these young people, when they get the exposure and these colleges look at them, they can have the opportunity to get an offer off of just one review of their huddle and who they've been recommended by, when we've kind of give that That's what I'm looking for here. Given that kudos to through Twitter, social media, and that people see them and recognize them as quality student athletes. But bringing it full speed. What's up?
Top receiver is from Del Valley.
That is correct.
Caleb Burton.
That is Caleb Burton. That is correct. That is the son of Charles Burton, the head coach at Del Valley. Now, yes, Caleb did sit out this past year. He did have a little bit of something that came up with him off the field. He had an injury that I don't want to get into, but he had an injury that he decided to kind of rehabilitate from and come back strong for his senior year. He is committed to the Ohio State University. So, Caleb is going to be a really good prospect, and there's another prospect in Del Valley, Braylon James, who we've mentioned often as well. We gave him a four-star rating just due to his simple size and his catching radius. But that's neither here nor there. Just wanted to make sure that for those people, if you do find us and you do listen to us, we do a good job and a diligent job to make sure that these young people, when they're recognized, it's done in a credible fashion. James, I think you talked a little bit about Recon Athlete last night on your show, and you got to visit with Tom Dunn. What is your sense that you've received from Tom and the work that Recon Athlete is doing for the people in the area?
I mean, it's always good to just see somebody looking out for the young kids. They always say the young kids are the future of not only the country but in everything. So paving a way for people to get recognized. The everything is social media and all of that. It just depends on there's not always a spotlight on these kids, whether it be, for, you don't go to a school that's recognized or you don't do this, so kind of just trying to level the playing field for everybody. You're from Lockhart, you don't deserve to fucking get a big rating, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think it's more of just the type of exposure that's kind of limited for a lot of the student athletes in this area. I mean, I was shout out to Chooks in Wabuco. He's a private coach in Austin. He was mentioning 2 years ago in October of 19 how he would ask a lot of the coaches who at the collegiate level, how come y'all don't recruit Austin? And they just said, well, we don't think you have quality. He didn't say quality. He didn't think you had collegiate level D1 Power 5 athletes in the Austin area. Well, the rude awakening, came to them and our platform at Recon Athlete, Flex ATX, IHS Fan, Vipe, everybody in the Austin area had kind of, I think, indirectly teamed up to kind of give the exposure. And these other platforms, excluding Flex, kind of just stick to the bigger schools and don't kind of give a lot more shine to the smaller schools or maybe to the surrounding areas that they may not be getting to. And our focus at Recon Athlete was to make sure that if there's a student athlete and they're getting attention from any college, D3 all the way to Power 5, they're going to get that exposure. And we've made sure that we do a taskmaster's job in going and getting out guys out of Floresville, guys out of Sabine, Texas, guys out of Kerrville, guys out of the Rio Grande Valley, where you may not get as much exposure as you would if you were in Houston, Dallas, or, the Super Syntex. We wanted to make sure that we could expose those young people to get them more opportunities and more eyes on them so that maybe more offers could come in that would translate into a bigger offer. Because for those who don't know, in the recruiting world, once you get one offer, it's like you're getting courted, and one person sees you and now another person wants you, and then another person and then another, and it's just a domino effect where you can parlay that and go up all the way to a bigger school that may have a fit or a need for you, and it is a fit, and so you kind of parlay that into a bigger position at a bigger university. And a great example of that would be Connor Heffernan, the offensive lineman out of Georgetown, where he was getting a lot of D2 looks, but he had such a great junior and senior campaign where he was able to grow his recruiting, and he got to land at his dream school at Baylor University. So that's just one example where the exposure of all of these different platforms can elevate a kid to the level and to land their dream school.
Do you feel that it's necessary for like an athlete that has a lot of talent and that you can tell is, you know, probably bound for the NFL or the collegiate level? Do you feel like it's necessary for them to face like top tier competition, you know, like to reach that next level or whatnot? Like, so for instance, say you have like a freak athlete, like a DK playing at Lockhart, just for say.
Are you talking about DK Metcalf?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, this dude's a freak. Like, he needs to be competing against top tier level just to prove himself so that there will be no doubt. Do you feel like that's necessary?
No, I don't think it's necessary. And that's now, will it help? Yes, of course it'll help. But is it necessary? No, because you're going to have athletes who are going to come from the middle of nowhere, like Jared Kerr, who plays at Longview. And the young man plays at a 3A classification, but he's being courted by every top Power 5 school in the nation. And then, we can talk about the running back Brooks out of Hallettsville, who committed to play at the University of Texas. He's playing in 4A ball, and he's in the middle of nowhere in Hallettsville. So it's kind of where you don't have to play against high-end competition, but if you're playing against competition that's below you, you should be balling out.
Yeah.
You should be the player where the ball is in your hands, time in and time out. Now, for offensive linemen, the guy who you're going against should be on the ground every single time you play. If you're a defensive lineman, you should be making the tackle in that play every single time. You should pop, as they say, off the screen whenever we're watching your tape. And that's kind of when I watch your tape, because I don't work for anybody besides Recon Athlete. But the point is that, do I think it's necessary to answer your question directly? No. But if you go up against quality competition, it's going to make you that much better. All right, folks, it is 42 minutes after the hour. We're having some longer segments than usual today. It's been, like I think I told James yesterday, producer James, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable in the saddle here, getting a little bit more relaxed. Let's take a break. We'll be back in probably about 5 minutes, and we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott. We'll be back. baby, we're back. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show. Producer James was bringing up some old history about a certain YouTube video that I was a part of back in the day that I forgot about, but then I remembered. And we actually have the footage. We may put that up after we get the permission from a couple of folks who were in it. But it's football related. It's video game related. But it's pretty damn entertaining from what I remember. Look out for that. We'll probably have that here in the breaks. Probably come in next week, just as a tease for everybody. It was a quick laugh and trip down memory lane. James, look at James over here laughing about it. Still, he can't stop.
I'm gonna have it ready tomorrow.
Jeez Louise. And it's actually the perfect time for our breaks. It kind of matches up pretty damn well. So maybe we'll have it tomorrow. Maybe we won't. But the way James is looking over there, it probably will be tomorrow. All right, let's get into Deshaun Watson. He met with Dave Culley today, the head coach, and he's still telling those guys to kick Brock's. There was a Bleacher Report put out a tweet, and it was remember Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes, and there's a cartoon where the Bugs Bunny's face is like highly animated, where he's just saying no, putting that emphasis on the no. Yeah, and it's basically, and the Texans are like, well, this is what we can do, and it's just that no, kind of letting the line in the sand be affirmed for Deshaun Watson. It's such a mess over there. And, Caserio, I don't know if Caserio's running the team. He's the GM. He should be running the team. But I have a really good feeling that Cal McNair and Easterby are the guys making the big decisions over his head. And maybe that's what they thought. Maybe Easterby thought, hey, we can send Dave Culley in there. Dave Culley, he can turn Deshaun around. He'll put him back on the map, put him back in Houston. And Deshaun was very adamant. He was like, Coach, I love you. You're a great coach. I like what you do, but I'm not coming back. I'm not going to be here. He's like, well, it's just not happening, Coach. And you kind of sit back and you ask, like, if Deshaun, it has to be at that point now where Deshaun is like, he's not going to come back. He's just going to say, fine me. I won't play. I'll fine. Send the fines. I'm not going to play. Houston, I think Houston's dug in and Deshaun is dug in and whatever damage was done, I think especially with the hiring of Caserio and I think the hiring of Dave Culley have broke the straw, or that's the straw that broke the camel's back for Deshaun Watson, because he wanted that control. Now, I'm not saying he wanted the whole control, but I'm sure he wanted his input to be weighed equally for the head coach, and we're seeing that happen right now in Seattle with Russell Wilson. And so these quarterbacks are kind of probably asking for more power, but they're still wanting those high-end prices to be paid for their paychecks. And I don't think it works that way. I think it'll work if you do it like Brady, where you're going to win championships. You have to win championships, but you also have to take those pay cuts. And if you're willing to do both, I think ownership will give you, carte blanche and say, yes, we will do X, Y, Z because you're taking less money, which makes the owners more money, and you're winning Super Bowls, which makes us even more money as an organization.
I think it means a lot when, if at least hear the guy out. Hey, man, we're about to hire this guy. What do you think? Not necessarily that you're going to go with what they think, but at least let them talk a little bit instead of like, forget what you think. Just go out there and throw the ball, no matter who's coaching.
I don't know what arrogance if it's a contract, okay, fine. Now, the GM does have leverage. He can say, okay, Deshaun, if you don't want to play, fine, retire. Pay us our $21 million back, and you can go figure out a team after you clear waivers. Or we're going to fine you until you come play. And I think for Deshaun, he's like, my skill level is so good. I'm only 25 years old. I have this contract on the books. I'm going to make so much more money than the $21 million I have to pay back. I'm not concerned with. Once he clears waivers and gets picked up by a new team, he'll make even more money because that'll probably be in 2022 when the cap is going to grow even higher after this, COVID year for 21. Now, with that being said, if this was like for Russell's 30 plus, he's not in the same market as Deshaun, but he has a ring. And his cap hit is going to be treacherous for whatever team, because the dead cap is really what's really going to bother them. Whatever dead cap that Russell's going to incur to the new team, it's going to make things very difficult to bring in free agents or to sign rookies that are going to be drafted in the lower rounds. And I think that's the leverage that Deshaun Watson is seeing. He's like, I'm 25. I'm skill-wise, I operated in chaos in 2020 in COVID. You fired the coach. You fired the GM. You traded away the best player. I had no help on the offensive line. I had no help from the defense. We went 4-12 from the previous year when we were playing in the divisional championship. If Deshaun Watson played that well in chaos, what would he do in an organization that was properly ran professionally and had the weapons that Patrick Mahomes has in Kansas City or Tom Brady has in Tampa Bay?
I don't understand what they're what are they thinking?
They're not thinking. That's the difficult thing, is that listen, in the NFL, I listen to Michael Lombardi. Michael Lombardi was a assistant to Bill Belichick. He was also a general manager for Cleveland. He has Super Bowl rings. Michael Lombardi, I believe, knows what he's doing. He has his sons are coaches in the NFL. He's been around the game a long time, and he used to work under Coach Walsh in San Francisco. And a lot of teams have just told, or a lot of people that he's been around tell him, look, there's 10 teams, maybe 8 for sure, that are going to be teams you have to compete against. The other 20, the other 22 are just happy to be here, happy to be at the dance. So you're really competing against those 8. And that's where Houston is. Houston, when, God rest his soul, when Robert McNair was running the Texans, I think they were slowly progressing in the right way. Once he passed, everything for the Houston Texans went downhill. There's no leadership in Houston, and that's the issue with all these problems. And that's why Deshaun Watson is like, get me the hell out of here. I can be productive. Deshaun Watson had the most passer yards throwing in the NFL in 2020 with no receivers, with no running backs, with no offensive line. Imagine what he did. Imagine if he went to San Francisco. Imagine if he went to Chicago. I'm just saying, imagine if he went to the Patriots.
There's a lot of teams that would really appreciate a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, like the Chicago Bears. They've been through so many freaking quarterbacks,
quarterbacks,
and the Houston Texans have this gym, and they're just like, eh.
You didn't protect Carr when he came out in 2002 out of Fresno State. You had no offensive line. And you had a litany. The only quarterback that did okay was Schaub and Fitzpatrick. And look how well Fitzpatrick did in Miami when he had a competent team around him. He was successful. I mean, he wasn't winning, playoff games, but they were going to the playoffs. He had protection. He had a decent running game. He had decent receivers. Houston, it is literally a cesspool of the bottom end of the NFL. They are what the Cleveland Browns were 5 years ago.
It's such a major turnaround from the previous season. It's
night and day.
It's hard to fucking
literally
imagine.
Night and day.
A little off topic. Fitzpatrick, what do you think of that? Of him? Like,
that's a Harvard man, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Dude, he was when he was in Tampa, he was just swagged out with that chain and that glittery. I don't know whose jacket that was, but that was like, that was swagged out Fitzpatrick. He was dope. He was great. Now,
Fitzmagic, that's what they call him.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's my age, so it's like, dude, I knew you wouldn't come out of Harvard, man. Take it easy, right? Sit down, take it easy. But the dude's obviously, he's got the brains. I wouldn't be shocked if he went and played for New England to bring, hypothetically for Fitzpatrick. Hypothetically is New England drafts Mac Jones out of Alabama. Fitzpatrick goes and plays for a year under 1-year contract. Gets Mac Jones acclimated. Mac Jones takes over next year after learning how to be a pro from Fitzpatrick. I think he's better than Cam Newton. As long as he has protection, He can get the ball out quick. He can throw the deep ball still at 37. He's seen all the defenses from the NFL. He's not worried about that. And you don't got to worry about him off the field. I mean, he's got like 20 kids he's got to take care of, so not really. But he's got a lot of children to take care of.
My Phillip Rivers.
Hey, man, Phillip too, bro. That's one guy ain't scared to talk to either. He don't curse or anything, but he'll definitely talk to you. He'll tell you how horrible you are, and you're going to smell on the way out of the room as well. Anything else about Fitzpatrick? Why did Fitz jump in your brain?
He's just, with Tampa Bay, and then it seems like he's only good for like a 5-6 game stretch, maybe. And then whatever
that's
reason.
Nick Foles. I think Fitzpatrick is good for a season, but that's just it. One season.
I like him. He's I think over there in Tampa Bay, he's won some like close games. That's why they call it the Magic. Just seeing, the bomb at the end, running down the field, and then like you mentioned, the swag after.
Right.
I do like a little off the field antics. Nothing to where you're like, like you mentioned earlier with AB, but I do.
You don't
like
want anybody going to
crazy.
jail, but you don't mind having like press conferences in your driveway while you're doing sit-ups like Terrell Owens.
Yeah,
I got you. I feel that.
That's my quarterback, man.
Oh man, get your popcorn ready. All right, y'all. It's 59 minutes after the hour. We still got one more segment. We're going to talk about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry will not be aroused this time, I promise you. But when we come back, we'll talk about that. Give us about 4 minutes. We're back. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show. We're going to wrap this bad boy up here in about, I don't know, an hour. No, I'm just kidding. Probably like 15 minutes. Looking at Twitter right now, looking at what people are talking about. Fish Sports, at Fish Sports, is reporting or speculating, really. They're talking about a Dak Prescott long-term contract, 3 years, $124.5 million proposed by the agent. Now, that's Dak Prescott's agents. They're saying that that's what Dak would want if it was a 3-year deal. I think that's just total bullshit. I don't think Dak wants 3 years, but I think he wants more than $124.5 million. Now, out of that $124 million, maybe $100 would have to be guaranteed for it to make sense, in my opinion. I think if they said 3 years, $124.5 million, $100 million fully guaranteed, which means as soon as he signs the contract, the next day $100 million is in the bank account, I would say, yeah, that deal may just fly. That may just work. But if it doesn't work, here's something that just kind of popped in my brain a little bit. Jerry Jones just sitting there in his big yacht, sprawled out, making sure they hide the blue pills from him, the little blue pills. Jerry Jones is saying, what if we can get Dak signed and we'll go ahead and cut a deal to Seattle and we'll package Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. We got Tony Pollard doing well behind him for Russell Wilson and a first-round draft pick. I mean, that sounds pretty tempting.
Yes, it does.
I mean, that sounds pretty tempting if you can go ahead and get value through the draft. You're not losing anything because you're probably losing the dead cap and gaining whatever Russell's contract's coming with. But if you get Zeke out, Zeke hasn't performed after he got paid. He hadn't done anything.
Get me started on that.
Zach is just underperformed. Zeke has underperformed since he got paid. Sign Dak, send those 2 contracts to Seattle, let them send bon voyage, arrivederci, via con Dios, bro. And they bring in Russell Wilson and the first-round draft pick. So you get 10, and then maybe you get Seattle's 2022 first-round pick. So you get next year's. You get next year's first-round pick. You go in, Patrick Surtain this year in the draft, have a full season. Russell Wilson doesn't have to play from behind. He's going to have great assets to protect him. He just needs a line to give him space to run out of bounds. He doesn't need to sit in the pocket like Drew Brees and throw the ball every which way. He's got a deep threat like DK with CeeDee Lamb. He's got a guy who can burn or run any route tree in Michael Gallup. And then the perfect possession receiver and sweetness, Amari Cooper. And then Jarwin as a little blanket. Tony Pollard doing his thing, catching out of the backfield. I mean, in that West Coast offense, I think Russell Wilson do very well in Dallas. Package that deal. Send these 2 jokers out of town. Deuces. We'll see you when we see you. And then everybody in Dallas can lose their brain about Russell Wilson coming to Dallas and Mike McCarthy's West Coast offense. And Dan Campbell gets reunited with his Super Bowl quarterback in Russell Wilson.
I like it.
How about them apples?
I like it. And I also like just sending the Dallas fans into a frenzy.
They would be frothing. They would be literally, I call them D4L zombies. All you Dallas people out there, I call y'all D4L. Y'all be all over Facebook. D4, whatever. D4L zombies.
You know it's bad when a fan posts, I don't care. Still my team for life.
They don't. And that's great. That's great that Jerry has y'all brainwashed that well. And I get it. America's team, blah, 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 blah. And don't get me wrong. I grew up a cowboy. Want to be a cowboy, Toby Keith, and riding your horse and shotgunning and all that nonsense. Yeah, it was great in the 90s. That's when I was a kid. It was fun. But 25 years is a long ass time. They haven't done anything. And so you have to ask yourself, what power play could Jerry do? And whenever I saw Russell Wilson talking to Goodell with his wife at the Super Bowl, I was like, something's going on in Seattle. And now here we are practically a month later, and the potential for Russell Wilson, to go to Dallas is Pretty evident. He wants to go to a big market. LA, Dallas, Chicago, and I think there's one more market, maybe New York. And I think this deal, if this deal gets done, the deal will not get done until either right before the draft or right after the draft, depending on how the dust settles with the draft picks. Because, in my opinion, if Dallas holds true and they get Surtain out of Alabama, they would have the 2019 corners in Diggs and Surtain, ship out Dak Prescott and Zeke. You'd have to tag Zeke or sign him. And I don't think they're going to. They got till March 9th to get the deal done. Because at March 9, at a certain, I think 4 Eastern, you got to tag him. Or he's going to clear waivers. So I like the deal. Jerry, if you need help, call me up. We'll get this settled. I just don't know why this is so hard. But for some reason, I'm sure there's a lot of cooks or a lot of chefs in the kitchen and not enough cooks. And so,
who do you think makes the final calls out there
where
in Dallas? Jerry?
When you say final,
like,
because we're out. Okay, this is how complex it is for me in my brain. I think Steven runs everything, and Jerry just kind of gives a blanket approval. But whenever it comes down to like this big of a mega deal, Jerry's gonna be the guy pulling the trigger. That's just the way I feel about it. Because Steven runs the day to day, like doing the negotiating with the agents and everything for the players. But Jerry's stayed out of the way, I think, long enough to where he's like, I got 5 years. I think Jerry has 5 years. No, it ain't no disrespect.
In life or in?
Yeah, in life. Lifespan. He ain't respawning nowhere unless he gets like uploaded to some kind of like digital entity and he's a robot somewhere, some cyborg or something.
Shout out Elon Musk.
Yeah, I mean, hook up with Neuralink in Austin and get things going, Jerry. I'm sure you're going to be talking to a billionaire soon. Anyway, you just have to ask yourself, if I was Jerry, I'm like, we know Deshaun has a ring. I'm sorry, Russell Wilson, excuse me. We know Russell has a ring. We know Mike McCarthy has a ring. He won it in Dallas.
Green Bay.
No, the Super Bowl that Mike McCarthy won was in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
That's physically the game played was in AT&T Stadium, known at that time.
I got offended.
Hey, man, I'm just letting you know the facts. Now, he was the head coach for the Green Bay Packers, but the actual tangible location was in Dallas or in Irving, wherever it was. Yeah. So, I mean, bring in the Super Bowl quarterback. You got the Super Bowl coach. You got the Super Bowl defensive coordinator on the other side when they won that ring. Run it back. Run it back.
I like it.
All right, guys. It has been 14 minutes after the hour, excuse me. James, what are we leaving the people with? Did you watch any new shows? I know I'd like to ask you this question.
Man, WandaVision is getting so good, dude. Man,
just play it out, bro. Come on. You got to find something new going on.
No, dude, it's really good.
Have you ever seen The Queen's Gambit?
No.
On Netflix.
I've been recommended it, though.
Watch it. Binge it. If you can, binge it. But it's not for the kids. It's adult only. What's another one? People telling me to get into Ted Lasso. I've had like 6 people tell me like, watch Ted Lasso. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can I'm not really good at getting into shows. I'm really good at getting into YouTube. Yeah. Like I get into YouTube and I get lost.
Yeah. There's actually this one I saw. It's a 4-part documentary series on Netflix. It's called it's True Crime: The Mystery at Cecil Hotel.
Nah, bro, I can't do crime dramas.
Come on, man.
That's like you're like a middle-aged woman sipping her wine watching the crime dramas. What the hell are you talking about?
Hey, give me my grapes and cheese while I'm at it.
Get your charcuterie board out. You can have you a nice afternoon with some mimosas and charcuterie boards. Do you know what that is? Have you eaten a charcuterie board?
No.
I don't even think I'm saying it right. Charcuterie.
I'm pretty sure. It sounds familiar.
It's bougie as hell, man. I watch Jersey Shore. That's the only reason I know.
Okay. No, I haven't. I'm not bougie at all.
Yeah, I'm not either. I just like to pretend. All right, guys. That's enough of this nonsense. What do we leave the people with before we head out?
Memorable YouTube video coming tomorrow.
Are you really going to have that tomorrow?
I'm going to have it ready.
Can we pull it up on YouTube? Do you have the link right now? Mm-hmm. Pull up the link right now while I'm kind of getting this up. And what I want to do is leave a little bit of the intro to kind of tease so that everybody can if you're tuning in now,
like audio or?
Yeah, just the audio. If you're we'll let the people know This is from 2007 or 8, I believe. And this is a home video production made by, shout out Edward Fernandez. And this is me and Mr. John Kalunga praying for you, brother. I hope you're doing well.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm here at my boy John's house. John's house right there. Anyways, he's the only person I know who plays Madden more than anybody else I know 24/7. You know, so I bet you I'm gonna knock on his door. We're gonna go inside and see what he's doing.
12 years ago.
This is 12 years ago?
Yeah.
All right, this is
What you doing? Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
What you think I'm doing? Shut that door, man. Let's play on the TV, man. Miss that tackle. What's your problem?
My bad, dog.
You Gerald wearing a Crocodile Dundee hat?
Trying to see where the real champions land or what? So we lay that shit down.
all right. Cut it right there. Let's save it for the rest. Let's save it for tomorrow. All right, everybody. We appreciate y'all watching tonight. Like, subscribe. We'll be with y'all tomorrow, 7 p.m. We're gone.